good to see those that have gathered again this morning. Some that may have wanted to be here that could not due to different circumstances. But we're glad to see you. We're glad that you can make it. And to come and to give honor and to give worship to God. You know, it is a privilege as His children to be able to come together and worship Him. I don't know, a lot of times I think we get it mixed up. We think that we come for ourselves, trying to get our church on, or trying to get fired up and all that. And you know, the beauty of God's program is that when we come to worship Him, that we get something out of it. Amen. That we become invigorated and that we become encouraged. But we come together to worship God. Amen. And to give God all of the glory. Yes. And I tell you that sometimes we are those of us who struggle, those of us who have issues, we know just how much God does for us. And if you've never had a problem, and I don't think that's anybody in this audience, but if you've never had a problem, then maybe you don't understand just how much God does. But for those of us who have been on the up and been on the down, we understand what God has done for us. So we were thankful. It was a great Thanksgiving, and I always we are thankful for what God has blessed us with. Health, strength, finances, family, and opportunities. And I hope that everybody had a wonderful gathering and had an opportunity to feast not only with family and friends, but also to think about what God has done for you. So, but we're still talking about faith. And I am beginning to understand that faith is just so essential to our spiritual lives, and that when our lives lack something spiritually, it's because our faith is not where it should be. Our faith is weak, our faith is useless, or our faith is just non-existent. And that's something we need to start working on and exercising and building up and becoming faithful. I'm reminded of what's said by the Apostle Paul in Ephesians, the 6th chapter, verse 16, when he talks about arming oneself for the battle against the spiritual warfare. He said, don't forget to take the shield of faith to quench the fiery what? Darts of the devil. And I'm telling you right now, Satan is going to attack us. Satan is going to try to take us out. Satan's job is to destroy us, and it will be because of our faith that we will survive. Or it will be because of our lack of faith that we will not make it. So we need to work up and think about trying to build up faithfulness. If I wasn't so caught up in trying to make myself happy, then maybe I could be what God wants me to be in order to be faithful to Him until I die. Because you know, I'm trying to get to the end of my journey. I want God to say that you have been faithful over what? A few things. Come on up a little bit higher. I'm going to make you ruler over many things. But in order to get to that point, I got to get faithful down here. That's the problem. I got to be faithful down here if I'm going to get God to say, come on up a little bit higher. And I am looking to elevate, not arrogantly, not in a positional sense, but I want to elevate spiritually. Amen. When God says, come on up and be with me. Yes, sir. That's what we're trying to get to. We're going to need what? Faith in order to get there.
All right.
Sometimes I think we put on what I call a faithful face. The face of faithfulness, where we think folks think that we are faithful. Because we come to church, we are faithful. Because we wear a suit, we are faithful. Because we look the best we can, we are faithful. That's just a face of faith. But that is not what faith is. And that's not what was going to get us down the road with God. What is faith? In Hebrews chapter 11, verse number 1, faith is the what? Substance of things what? Hope for, but it's the evidence of what? Of things that you cannot see. And you know what? I think faith is what you shouldn't see. In the sense that if I wore my faith like a badge and you say, there is his faith, well, because it's sitting on his shoulder and it says, there's my faith. But my faith ought to come in my life. It ought to resonate in the tone of my life so that when you say, there he comes, you say, why? Because there comes the faith. There comes the faith. Because my life is what I'm testifying. It's not lip service, but it becomes the action. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Faith is action. It's not lip service. A lot of folk got a lot of good lip service and lipstick and good looking ideology of faith. But when it comes down to practicality, when the rubber meets the road and the trials and struggles come, that's when their faith wavers. That's when their faith wavers. Hebrews chapter 11, verse number 6, what does the Bible say?
But without faith.
First it says faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things unseen. But
without faith.
Without faith.
It is impossible to
Without faith it's impossible to please God. You wonder why you fail? Fail to live up. Fail to do what God needs. Fail to answer the call. Fail when you need to be standing, you're falling. When you need to be encouraging, you're bringing down. Why do you fail? Because without faith, it is impossible to please him. There are two elements of faith that you must possess or you must have for your faith to be authenticated. What are those two elements? You must believe that he is who is he is. God is God. God is the creator. God is the innovator. God is the invigorator. God is the manipulator. God is the supreme being. And you got to believe in God. Believe so much in God that you are not afraid, but you tremble with respect. And then he's an awesome God. You must first believe that what he is. That's what some folks, they don't know what they believe in. They believe in everything but God. But you got to believe there's two things that you must believe that God is. Now I want to tell you this. If you believe that God is, then you'll believe the second part. If he is who he says that he is, then he will do what he says he's going to do. So you must believe that he is, and what else?
And that he is the rewarder.
That he will reward
of them that diligently seek him.
Reward them that diligently seek him. If you're going to write down something, underscore diligently. Diligently. If you're going to do something today, we're going to do so diligently. I didn't even think about that till just right now. But we need to do it a little bit more, with a little bit more diligence. Working hard. Trying to be something. You know what? You work hard at whatever else you want to do. Some of you party hard. Some of you might do it without even effortlessly, because it just comes to you by nature. But the bottom line is, whatever you do, you want to do it hard. Well, let's do Christianity hard, diligently, because he will reward them that diligently seek him.
Yes, sir.
Faith is the fabric of our lives. If I can put a commercial out there. Faith is the fabric of our lives, in the sense that faith, hope, and love woven together. You can go to the next slide. Woven together gives us our fabric. And we can wrap ourselves up in this. We can wrap ourselves up in faith, hope, and love. It all comes together. It's the fabric, the mosaic of our lives. It creates in the Christian the posture of spirituality. You got to have it. And I don't know about you, but when it's cold outside, I like to put a little fabric around myself to try to warm myself up. So when my life is not the way it should, I need something to wrap myself up in. But when things aren't like I like it to be, I need something to put on my shoulder and make me feel comfortable. And that's what faith does. That's what faith, hope, and love does. For me, it's the fabric of my life. And it makes me feel so great. And so as a Christian, I need to demonstrate diligently my faithfulness. As a Christian, I need to try. And I need to struggle and try to be the most faithful Christian as I can be. In my Christian life, faith ought to, like I said last week, ought to ooze out of us. And I want to squeeze every ounce of faith out of my life. I want faith to come out and to be present in everything that I do. A Christian in the true sense of the word embodies faith. So the sermon again, faith is perseverance. And this is the fourth installment of that. Because I changed it from faith and perseverance to faith is perseverance. Because it allows the two elements to not just be equal, but to become a composite of each other. Faith symbolizes perseverance. The perseverance is in the word diligently seeking him, taking the time, having the passion to continue to seek the Lord. That's what we're trying to get to. Don't you want to be that type of faithful person? Now, last week I introduced a word called hypostasis. Hypostasis. And I looked at it again and I tried to get them to understand. I think it's hypostasis. And that is the word used for the word substance in our text. Hebrews 11, verse number 1. And we began to understand that if we can understand that word, and it meant, and it has been translated in 4 different translations as confidence, assurance, substance, or title deed. To be placed under a setting is a substructure or a foundation. And our faith today exists because of the qualities of courage and confidence, trust and assurance. Faith is a real fact which is not revealed by our senses. Cannot smell faith. Now they say you can smell fear. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've been scared before. I don't know what you smell. I'm not sure exactly what you smell. But I have been afraid. But you can't smell faith. You cannot taste faith. You cannot necessarily touch faith. It cannot be properly accessed through our senses. But faith is real. And faith is something. Faith is tangible. Faith is this thing that gives us spirituality. Gives us, or it correlates with our commitment to Christ. Faith is the title deed of things hoped for. I do think it gives us the permission legally to be part of the spiritual process. Faith is key. Trust in God is key. Trust that Jesus as Son and in the essence of God is key. So I began to understand, and I understand just a little bit more, that even though I can't see faith, it exists beneath me. Even though I can't touch faith, it exists. It supports what you see in me. Paul said, I am what I am by the grace of God. In a lot of ways, he was saying, who you see, what you think I am, is all because of my faith in God. Amen. Do you understand? So when you see me, if you see me the way I'm supposed to be seen, you should see me as a faithful member of God's kingdom. Amen. But if you see me, and I'm not living right, and I'm not conducting myself right, then I am somehow sabotaging my faith. And I'm destroying what God expects from me. I've done that before. Now, I'm not talking about you, but I have been a person that maligned my own faith. I damaged my own faith. I sabotaged my own faith through laziness, triflingness, sinful desires, lust, and wrongdoing. I caused my own faith to suffer. And I'm telling you right now, I could try to blame climate and blame racism and blame conditions and blame this and blame that. But the reason why my faith suffered was because of me. Because I should have been standing on a firmer foundation. I should have did something to make my faith stronger than it was in the past. Because I believe that it's not only, faith is not only the hypostasis, but it is the real support of my spiritual building. So, we stand on a foundation today. And the building is only as strong as the foundation. If a building sags, if a building leans, it could be linked to a faulty foundation. I noticed in my own home, it's an older home, built around 1952. In one part of the bedroom, the floor slants. Now I got a little scared because I was worried about the foundation. So I had somebody crawl under the house. He said, well, you're off about 1.5 inches or so. It's not too bad. I don't think you need to jack up the house, but we can do something to do, you know. And I was thinking about that I was worried about the foundation. Now in 1952, they might have laid a good foundation. But in 2016, sagging. Something about that foundation is a little weak. So what I think about faith is that sometimes you start off with a strong foundation.
Good point.
Sometimes you start off with a strong foundation, but through the years
Yes, sir.
of wear and tear, your faith weakens.
That's good.
Just because of the way you've been dealing with stuff. Now, I wouldn't heard any of that big rascal was in the back of that house sitting around and laying. He might have sagged that foundation himself. Because that's how I feel. You hurt your own self through the trials and the struggles of your faith. And over the years, your faith gets a little weaker. It starts to sag. It starts to lean. And start to wobble. Because you just haven't been able to fortify yourself and get your faith back where it's supposed to be. And so, we need to understand our faith is based on the foundation that Jesus Christ, He is our chief cornerstone. Ephesians 2 and verse 20 is on the board. Read it for me, brother.
And are built upon the foundation of the apostles and the prophets.
See, our faith is just not built on any flimsy nature. It's not built on some happenstance and maybe and perhaps and all of this, but it's built on the foundation of the apostles and the prophets. And Jesus Christ Himself, what?
Being the chief cornerstone.
Is the chief cornerstone, which gives our structure, strength, and stability. So if the structure is sagging, it's not sagging with the cornerstone. It's not sagging on the prophets. It's not sagging on the apostles. But if our faith sagging, it's sagging because of us. It's sagging because of us. And our spiritual building, if it's weak, if our spiritual building is flimsy, it's because we're on an inappropriate foundation. We're weak. Everything you see on the top or up front spiritually is a reflection of what is down deep within. Now, if we believe Hebrews 11 verse 1, it is the faith that is down within us. That's the substance of things hoped for. So if we're sagging today because something wrong with our faith and our belief, you see, our faith today is either rock solid or it's on the sand of our existence. In the parable of the homes built on the foundation of rock or the foundation of sand, the proverbial story of faith in a house built on the right or the wrong foundation. In Matthew chapter 7, verse number 24. Now some people are building their faith on the proper foundation. What does the Bible say? Therefore,
whosoever hear these sayings of mine,
and
doeth them,
if you hear what I'm saying and you do them,
I will liken him unto a wise man.
I liken you to a wise man
which built his house
that builds his house. That's the problem. Do those sayings of his. If you hear it and you do it, then you become a wise person. And then you're building on a good foundation. But if you hear it and you don't do it, you drop down to verse number 26.
And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not,
and you don't do it,
shall be likened unto a foolish man.
Then you become a foolish person,
which builds his house upon the sand.
You see, faith in practical, we said before, is action. If you hear it and do it, you're wise. If you hear it and you don't do it, you're what? Foolish. We got some foolish Fooling around with some wise in this church. How do I know? Because some are hearing and doing, and some are hearing and doing not. So the foolish and the wise come together. In most cases, the foolish and the wise are together until the separation. So all I'm really trying to say is that your foundation is either strong or weak. And it is up to us to build that foundation. My building sagging today is not because of Jesus, it's not because of prophets, not because of apostles, it's sagging because of me. I was talking about this last week, and Brother Kurt Harris, a fellow preacher, came to me and said, you know, he said, all you really need is just a little bit of faith. You don't need a whole lot. Faith is such faith is kind of like highly concentrated.
All right.
You don't need a lot of faith for faith to be effective. And I think about that, you know, before you had to carry a lot of this or that, but now you can get just a little something and then you can make a lot of something out of it because it becomes concentrated or something really just small. Well, that's something Jesus would have been talking about for years when it comes to faith. Faith of a mustard seed. A mustard seed, and I put up on there, I don't know if you can even see between the two thumbs how big a mustard seed is. There's a seed between two of those thumbs there. One seed. In the Gospels, especially Matthew, Mark, and Luke, all of them record an analogy or a parable about a mustard seed. And it was always referenced that if you had the faith of a grain of mustard, that you could tell a sycamore tree to move. Or some said mulberry tree to move. And in Matthew it says you can tell a mountain. Because they were talking about miracles. And when they could not do or perform a miracle in Matthew, the apostles wanted to know why they couldn't. He said, if you just had the faith of a mustard seed, then you could tell a mountain to move. Let alone Satan or something else, you can cast out a devil, that's nothing. Right. And so he was letting them know that just a little dab of faith can do. Strong faith, a small portion of strong faith is all you need. You see, faith is like untapped potential, spiritual potential. Faith is like a charged battery with a wealth of reserve power to be used when needed. In fact, faith is not a throwaway battery, but faith is a battery that can be charged and recharged to capacity over and over and over again. Amen. And just like your phone, after using your phone for so long, it starts to weaken and you have to connect it up to the power source and let it lay there for a few minutes or so to get a little boost of power, right? That's how faith is. The more you use your faith, it gets weakened. That's why you come to church, to connect up to your power source. That's why you fall down on your knees and pray to God, because you're just connecting to the power source. That's why you open the Bible and you read it, connecting to the power source. Just a few moments connected up with God can revamp your power source. And it can build your faith. You want to know why your faith is weak? Many of you haven't connected to God in so long. You don't pray. You don't study. and you don't even come. How are you going to get charged back up? And you wonder why you're walking around with limited, when at a certain point when my phone gets so low, it says it's going to a survival mode. It's cutting things down, it can't hardly see the light, because it's trying to conserve. And a lot of y'all have been conserving faith for so long. You haven't been doing anything trying to conserve your faith. And I'm telling you right now, what you need to do, connect up to the power source. And to get yourself charged back up. Because that's what's going to help you grow and be what you need to be. I talked to you about Luke 17:5-6, talking about the sycamore tree to move. We even mentioned Matthew 17:20, where he told the mountain to go somewhere else and to move. Because that's how faith works. Faith can be tapped into. It's our reserve. It's a degree of what is sufficient to make and maintain us. It is faith. It is faith that one puts, and we have that in mustard seeds, we have it in any plant. Those who grow things, they understand because they put things in the ground and they water it and they let it grow. Because they realize the small seeds grow into plants and trees or whatever they are. They start with something small. Right. And I'm telling you right now, your faith may be limited, but if you were to put it somewhere, let it grow and water and nourish it, right, your faith will also grow, and it will also expand. So we said earlier, faith is perseverance. That was the name of the lesson. Faith is perseverance. Faith is perseverance, because perseverance means, and I think I want you to go back to Hebrews 11:6, those that diligently seek Him. Now, if you don't do nothing else, I want you to kind of think about that this week. How can I diligently seek God? Because I know this. I do know this. You're going to want God to reward you. You hear what I'm saying? You want the reward. You want heaven. You want help. You want blessings. You want His encouragement. You want everything God has to give. What are you going to do diligently this week? What will you do diligently this week? I don't think I'm going to be able to get any further than this. Because if I move further, I corrupt the process of the next things I want to say. And I don't want to be here all day. But that don't matter. We'll come back again. But I want you to go back to Hebrews 11:6. I want to just read that a little bit, because this week I want us to commit to something. I want us to commit to diligence. Commit to diligence. Sometimes we just need to start getting a little more serious about our spiritual lives. Just a little bit more serious about our faith today. Hebrews 11:6, what does it say?
But without faith, it is impossible to please Him.
You see, we need to want to please God. Now see, that's something. I said it before, that's something. I need to want to please God. We always like to please ourselves, and I don't mind pleasing myself either. Brother Hooper, I don't mind pleasing myself. Especially when I'm not stealing from God, I'll do what I want to do. As long as I'm not stealing from the Lord, I do what I want to do. But the bottom line is, I ought to want to please God. Number one priority. Read.
For he that cometh to God must believe that He is.
Believe in God, yes.
And that He is a rewarder of them.
And God is going to give me.
Seek Him.
Believe in God, and God is going to give me. Believe in God, and God is going to give me. Believe in God, and God is going to give me. Believe in God, and God is going to give me. See, we like that part. I believe in God, and God is going to give me. But you can't get nothing without doing what? Last part of that verse. Diligently
seek Him. Right.
You can believe in God and say what God's going to give me, but I'll tell you this, you're not going to give me nothing if you don't diligently seek Him.
Amen.
Amen.
So this week, let's seek God in everything that we do.
Amen.
Every time we are challenged, let's seek God. Every time we're asked of something, let's seek God. Every time the opportunity arises, let's seek God. Diligently this week, let's be followers of God. Some of us going to need to hook our faith up a little bit for a little bit of a boost. Because our faith is weak. Come by repenting of sin. That's the first thing. Get the sin off your back. Nothing corrodes a spiritual life like sin. Until you get your battery cleaned up, I don't know if you know about batteries. If you get enough corrosion on a battery, you can't get it to start. So you got to go out there and clean up that battery. Get this sin out of your life. Luke 13, 3 and 5, Acts 17 and 30. At the time of this ignorance, God winked at. But now command all men everywhere to what? Repent, get it out of your life. If you want to try to get back on the right track with God, ask God to forgive you. In James 5:16, ask faithful brethren to pray for us that we can be stronger. And I'm telling you, if you haven't been diligently seeking God, this is the time to do it. Come on down and get it right with God. Songs writer says, I've wandered far away from home, but now I'm coming home. And you know, Brother Lewis, that was one of his favorite songs. He said, I'm coming down now. It was time to come home. Some of us need to come home and get it right with God.
Amen.
Get right with God because it's time to diligently seek God. Diligently seek God. If you're not a member of the Church of Christ, this is what I'm talking about. You cannot serve God on your own terms. Folks want to do whatever they want to do and think God's going to be okay endorsing it. They think God endorses everything. Well, I want to do this. That's okay. I want to check with a woman. So what? All that kind of stuff. God does not endorse sin. Sin is still wrong. And sin will always be wrong. We need to stop doing that. Time to connect up with God.
Amen.
Our faith will be what God intends if we'll do what God wants us to do.
Amen.
So how do we build a foundation? Hear these sayings of mine and do what?
Do them.
Do them. Then you'll be a wise person. Don't hear it and not do it. Because then you're going to be foolish. So that's what we've been talking about, faith today. And I'm telling you, there's still more richness in here to be mined away, and I'll be working on it. Faith is still the substance of things hoped for.
Yes, sir.
The evidence of things not seen, because it's the foundation. It is the foundation in which we stand spiritually.
Amen.
So if you're not a member of the church, you want to become a member of God's kingdom. God's kingdom is not exclusive to the point only those who obey can be members. You obey by hearing the word of God. What word of God? I like 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. How Jesus lived, died, and rose again. That's the gospel encapsulated in just a few statements. And rose again. And now he sits on the right hand of God.
Amen.
I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God.
Yeah.
And I'm going to confess that before men, whoever asks me that question. Just like the Ethiopian eunuch in Acts the 8th chapter. He believed Jesus Christ was the Son of God. And they were willing to then baptize him for the remission of his sin. You know, you can't get away from baptism. 1 Peter 3, 20 and 21, like figure in which baptism doth now save us. They were talking about Noah and the salvation of the flood from the flood. And this is how baptism saves us. It's water.
Yes.
Romans 6, 3 and 4, buried with him in the likeness of his death, raised in the likeness of his resurrection. Baptism, once again, Acts 2, 38, baptism. Men and brethren, what shall we do? Be baptized. Can't get away from that.
Yep.
Can't get into the church dry clean. You got to get baptized.
Yes, sir.
And you got to believe, repent, confess, be baptized. Faith is perseverance. This week, let us diligently seek God.
Amen.
In everything we do.
Yeah.
Let's stand and sing.
I want